It goes back a long way in development at Scott Free through Janina Falcio, who had the project in development. I think I read the first draft 10 years ago. And they've been trying to find the right combination of cast for a while, and also the right timing for everybody else to get involved. And happily, it came together with Lady Gaga and as the lead. And she was, the perfect casting. And it was well worth waiting for it. It's very familiar territory for me, having grown up in New York and lived through the 70s there. The whole ambience of fashion photography, merchandising, and it's so much part of my New York experience in Manhattan, where I grew up. And so I was very familiar with fashion photography. I worked for a few fashion photographers in the 70s who were doing Harper and Vogue, Bazaar, kind of editorial for fashion. And so, this was a world I knew, not to mention the music world where I originally came from, and everything that went with that. So, it was very comfortable for me. We had the New York flagship store to recreate, which we did in Rome. Of course, you do that in Rome. And we had to go to also the mountains, the Alps. That was a little unfamiliar to me. It snows a lot in New York, which was good training, but I hadn't done a lot of work in high altitude. And it was very, very high. It was, probably the highest peaks in the Italian Alps. We were very close to the French Alps, just over the hill from where we shot in the Gressenay Valley is your Mont Blanc, one of the highest French Alps. So we were up there. We had the evolution from 70s, 80s, and 90s fashion to deal with, and the actual product evolution of Gucci style. And also we did some other fashion shows of other designers to set some of the scenes and the ambience of the world that Maurizio finds himself in. And he's a novice, really, to the world of high fashion at that time. So we did a lot of research. We looked at a lot of magazine still photography to see the style of lighting, and also a lot of video footage of actual fashion shows of the period. Because, they had a particular style of, the lighting equipment was different, the presentation style was different, the music was different. And it evolved it evolves as we go through the film. She comes from a successful working class family. Her father is quite a successful trucking company operator. There could be some, suggestion, not that we know for sure, of, some kind of outside influences of a darker shade. But he has money, not a lot of taste, but a lot of money. So she's spoiled rotten. He's spoiling her. You can see that in the wedding scene. I mean, it's no expense spared for, his darling daughter, but she's not satisfied on that level. She has ambitions to rise socially. She wants more. I think she's the engine of the story. That desire to rise socially, and also, dragging Maurizio along with her initially. He's completely indifferent, but gets with the program. And she's the power behind, the man. She's kind of a Lady Macbeth in a way. And, he becomes really the destroyer of the dynasty, and destroys himself in the process. So it's really Shakespearean and operatic, isn't it? Really has this habit of shooting with, 4, 5 cameras at a time, which is his method. So we need a bit more space. And so we did that. We dedicated certain rooms for certain scenes, just went with that. We shot outside. We had beautiful, crisp fall weather by the pool and the gardens. The reflection of the real Gucci wealth, which we tried to show with Rodolfo, the Jeremy Irons character, the elder brother, and also with Aldo's lifestyle in New York through his offices, and the scenes we shot of him in his villa on Lake Como, which was extraordinary. We found this villa right on the lake, beautiful kind of Renaissance Palladian style with beautiful antique furnishings inside. I mean, it's just to drop dead and die and go to heaven for. And that was the level, the higher echelon level that Ridley wanted to show. Remember the balcony scene with Patrizia on the balcony. And for me, that was the most fun because I got to pick and choose what art to put on the wall because we wanted it to be very contemporary. Now we're in the 80s, so we're in the height of pop art world. So we're, decorating in a very, very slick, contemporary style, minimalistic, with lots of very well-known pop artists on the walls, which was really fun for me because I was there in New York when all of that was first happening, and very enthusiastic fan of pop art. And yeah, it was, a fun movie to design. We had the corporate Gucci helping us to some degree in that they let us film in the Rome flagship Gucci store on Via Condotti, where we shot interior and exterior there, which was fantastic fun. But we created Via Condotti, which is in Rome, as the street that it would have been on in Milan, which is Via Monte Napoleone, which is the kind of mecca of high fashion in Italy, and where the events actually took place. Paolo Gucci is, like the cuckoo in the nest of the Gucci family, I'd have to say, on every level. And, the kind of fashion designer manqué, failed designer, and the kind of family, burden, and the comic relief of the film. Congratulations to Jancy on what she pulled together over the whole arc of the movie, the whole panorama of fashion that evolves in every section of the storytelling. House of Gucci is the 15th film I've done with Ridley, so I guess we have a way of working together that seems to satisfy him everyone else. I don't know that there's anyone who's done more to shape the way we see film and make film in terms of the craft of it than he has. It's really a lot of fun. It's a rollicking romp, you know, to follow these characters and how they interact and how totally spoiled rotten they are and how horribly it all goes wrong. And it's all to the sounds of the period, you know, in interesting takes on the sounds and the sights of the period and that world that they lived in, which was one of the more fun periods of modern times. Yeah, it's just, you know, very, very enjoyable. It's a sad, sad tale told in a very, I think, entertaining and lighthearted way, with moments of, you know, seriousness, but generally it's fun watching other people fall apart at the seams and how the mighty have fallen is always enjoyable. Say it's a cautionary tale about, you know, greed and being satisfied with your own lot in life and enjoying it for what it is and taking simple pleasures from life that, you know, all the money in the world doesn't necessarily, it's the old cliche, lead to happiness. And sometimes it leads to disaster, total and complete. You'd have to say that a lot of the success of the production design as it appears on the screen to the people who worked with me in my department and, you know, the team that I had in the arts department and set decorating department, prop making department, all Italian, with a few exceptions, the odd Irish lady, the odd German here and there, you know, some other European EU country people, but mostly all Italian. I mean, they were so enthusiastic about the subject because it's their legacy, their history, and they put so much into it on a level of enthusiasm and tirelessness that I have to, you know, tip my hat and be very grateful for their collaboration.